Marquette's got a good backcourt, yeah, they're very good. Obviously, Caleb Love is very talented. Kylan Boswell got a quick trigger, can really pull up and make shots and change a direction, change a speed, can manipulate the defense with his eyes, good passer. You got to stay right with him. Bradley comes in and gives him quickness, athleticism. Larson's a guy that just knows how to play. Physical wing, can shoot the basketball, but that's it's across the board. Good program, good coach, good players, good bench. He's done a really, really good job, to say the least. And when you got that kind of balance, it's hard because you normally you cheat somewhere and you give help somewhere, and then it's really hard to do with those guys.
What's kind of their defining characteristic as a team that's made them so good? Is it their balance? Is it their athleticism, their size?
I'd say they're players. They have good players. Yeah, I don't mean to be a smartass, but they're just really good players, good coach. He's been the most successful coach after 2 years and 10 games of anybody who's ever coached. So but they've had good players, across the board. They've got good size, they got good quickness, they got shot makers, but their defense is really good. I would say the staples that they have is their offensive execution, their ability to score in different ways. They're a great rebounding team and they're a great defensive team, and that's a pretty good recipe for success.
Arizona aggressively drops on defense, especially if a big guy has the ball up top. How do you take advantage of that? Is that something everyone around Edey has to be aware of?
Yeah, anytime you go against somebody and they've kind of shown that that's exactly what they're going to do. Sometimes people can change on us because of our personnel or because of Zach. But yeah, you got to make sure no matter what they're doing that you set good angles on your screens, and then you just read the defense and take what the defense is getting. You kind of know what's going to happen, no different than them going against us and kind of knowing, but things can change. Sometimes it's not what you're doing, it's how you're doing it. So how active they are on the ball, they have great size, they have great length to make things more difficult. But yeah, you got to make that big guy stop you. If he's in that deep drop, what they're really trying to get you to do is take tough intermediate shots. That's the lowest percentage shot. So that they're just trying to get you into that. About 6-7 years ago for us, we had a real tough time with it because we didn't have the discipline in our guard play in one particular year that it was just like, you're like, hey man, you're shooting what they're giving you. They want you to shoot that. And then it was the old adage, but I'm open, right? You're open for a reason. So you just can't take the bait unless it's a low shot clock play. Then you kind of have to, which we have found out that in those scenarios, that's been real beneficial for us because now those are softer misses, shorter misses, and then we've done a good job on the offensive glass.
Is that pretty similar to your defensive philosophy then?
They're just deeper than we are. So we start up and drop, they get into a deep drop. So to try to compare to help you guys, probably Kofi Coburn.
Yep.
It's probably the number one. Remember how good that Frazier and Io and all those guys, Williams, was on the ball. And that's the way Arizona is. They're great on the basketball. They get into the basketball. They force you with their pressure. They stay tight with it most of the time. And they're just trying to get you to attack their size right there. You got to be smart and take your wide open pull-ups, make 5X stop you, wait for Zach to get settled. Just kind of keep manipulating the defense without giving in to what they want.
Why is it important to play these games in Indianapolis?
Yeah, I think anytime you can play in your home state, especially playing on a neutral court, it's important. But that's obviously our hub, and we recruit a lot there. It's our capital. It's a lot of alums. People can get there and be able to see us. It's cool for us to travel and to go to Honolulu and to go to different places, like Toronto, and still be that program that has the most fans. So when we go to Indianapolis and we would play in the thing before, we'd have a lot of fans, maybe not as much as Indiana would have, but we still would have a lot of fans. And here in this game, I think we're going to have, a big following, and that's what you want. Now, when we play them next year, we'll see, right, as we go to Vegas and play them. So we'll see who has the most fans. I would think that they get a lot of people there.
The way Braden's so good at feeding it into Zach, how can you kind of just speak on his unselfishness?
Right. Well, Braden's a good passer, just trying to get him to keep his wiring system accurate. Like a lot of times when you go to make a play and if you're going to pass, it leads to a turnover. I mean, you have to go to score. You have to be aggressive. Go get your layup. Go get your pull up. Then when they take it away, now you have, good instincts. Now they take it away. Now you make that next pass. So just being a threat. And it's a lot of the questions we've already answered about ball screen defense. It's if there's only one thing in the equation to go to, it's pretty easy to defend. But when you can shoot a pull-up or a pull-up three and you can get a layup, you can hit him on the move, you can jump stop and hit somebody cutting or hit Zach as he's getting into his post-up play. Now there's a lot of options there. And Braden's just kept it on a string and played on 2 feet more, and then that just opens up a lot of options for him.
Speak to Zach's hands. There's been a lot of entries over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have trouble, doesn't seem like catching that ball.
Right.
You want those balls going in that hot?
Yes, without question. You see some of those turnovers. When you have to feed it fast, just try to hit him in the head. We've all been taught to protect our face our whole life. Guys are going to catch that. But then if you're going to hit the target hand that he is showing, you can't lead him. You got to actually hit that target hand. And sometimes when there's a low man holding there, that's where you got to put some velocity on it. Because you put some air under that right there, that's just time for that low man to get there and poke that ball free. And we've all seen that. Now sometimes when it's one-on-one, you can make that pass. You got to be able to read, just his surroundings and what's going on. But it's all things that we drill. So it's like when you get into these, breakdown drills and you're working on things, you're not working on making shots, you're working on making decisions that lead to taking good shots. Yeah, well, someone was going to get them. You know what I mean? If I'm going to play 10, someone's going to get them. So you see how I sub and see how I do things. And I changed a little bit in the Iowa game with Ethan, because I thought he did so many good things for us. And then you look at Ethan's plus minus, which the plus minus can be deceiving. It's like Trey's plus minus last game. Go watch the minutes when he's in there. There's a handful of turnovers, and he has nothing to do with any of them. And so sometimes you're a victim of circumstance in a game. Sometimes you're not. And so, like, over a long haul of kind of that data, I think it's important to kind of see, like, what guys have done and what they do. But I thought Ethan did some really good things. I thought they all did some really good things. But I've not played 10 guys like I've played so far this year. So, like, you just have a decision. Someone's going to be the guy that's the last in the rotation in terms of getting in. So it just kind of worked where, he ended up being that guy. And then, you look at Gonzaga, you look at Xavier, you look at Alabama. He's made some pretty big threes in that mix. Just think if he was in the game all the time, right?
You always talk about trust though, freshmen. Those last few minutes and a half, that's when you don't want somebody to make a run.
Right.
Has he gotten his trust level with you?
Yeah, he's done some good things. Yeah, it's all relative, right? So it's all in comparison to the other people playing, and that's what I told him in the Northwestern game, which had to be frustrating for him, is we turned the basketball over, we had defensive breakdowns, and we missed shots. And when you're someone who's trying to figure things out defensively and know what's going on, and you got guys out there that are supposed to know what's going on or do know what's going on, and they're having breakdowns from the individual standpoint, you're like, well, damn, I can do that. And I can make those shots that are open, because you always feel good about that. So I always try to go to them, not every time, but go to players in general and just kind of express that. Just like, hey, don't get frustrated there. Like, keep a good headspace, because it'll really help you going forward playing. You don't want to do something and get mad and get frustrated, because, if you want to be mad, there's always something to be mad about. Always. I don't care what team you're on, what level you're on, there's always something to be mad about. Like, learn to move on and just keep doing what's best for yourself. That's what Miles has done. He's watched a lot of tape, he does a lot of extra work, and he's kept a great attitude, and he's when he's gotten in there, he's helped us win basketball games.
Coming off of a game like Alabama where they hit 19 threes, what did you kind of learn about your perimeter defense?
Well, I don't think it was all on our perimeter. I think it was on our team more than anything. I came across, first of all, that Mark Sears is really good. And, they did hit some tough ones. We had 2 different transition snafus that we just didn't communicate and gave him 2 threes. We had 2 on flares where guys just ran into the flare screen. There was a couple others where there was like whatever. But they made some tough shots. Estrada's first one, Mark Sears, like probably at least half of his were really tough. So we just got to do a better job of getting them out of rhythm, do a better job of matching up in transition. But more than anything, just don't hand them points. They earned a lot of theirs, but we also handed them some points.
Bigs.
Yeah.
Alabama.
I don't think it matters. I mean, Alabama's 4 is 6'10". He's just mobile. And, Arizona's guy is a good player. Very physical, very tough, agile. A real good mix in terms of driving the ball some, taking that occasional outside shot, but just killing the boards. So, yeah, they got, a handful of guys down there so they can run bodies in there and do it. But they also got guys that can score down there. And so sometimes you go against people that can match you physically, but then they're not a threat on the other end. And, these guys are good on both ends. So, I think they would run a lot of people at them, but we're going to run a lot of people at them too. We have some depth. And I think the key to me is just keeping them off the free throw line more than anything, keeping them off the glass. They're so good on the glass. They're out rebounding their opponents by 19. But that's easier said than done. I think the team that can make better decisions and take better shots are definitely going to give themselves a better chance of setting their defense and not getting behind plays also.